Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists Podcast with me, Gavin Cook.
Me, Jackson White.
And this evening we've got Master 7th Dan Chris Beanland on the show. So obviously we know Chris from the competition circuit, and not seen him for a while. It'd be good to have a chat, see what he's up to.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show, Chris.
How you doing? You okay? Nice to be here.
Yeah. Nice to catch up with you again. It's been a while.
It's been a long while. Yeah.
I know, yeah, God, I think probably, I've been retired from fighting now, nearly 5 years actually. And I think probably a year before that, when I saw you last.
We moved 2014.
No, 2 years before that then. Bloody hell. Yeah. Time flies, doesn't it? Just
and you're still
how old we're getting.
You're still trying to spar with those young pups, Chris.
I was until this year, and everything broke. I think I've got a slip disc and a sportsman's hernia at the minute, which I'm trying to get resolved. So I just pain in the backside. So I go in and throw a few kicks, and then I can't put my shoes on when I'm going home after.
Unfortunately, the sportsman's hernia is not a pain in the backside, mate. It's a pain in the front side. It's a pain in the front side, mate. I've had one.
I was just saying, I thought for a year, I had a groin strain. And then somewhere down lockdown, I was doing a fitness class, and I thought we did an ab session, and we're on something like 300 abs. And all of a sudden, something went twang, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't stand up. So I got up in a hump, and then these kids were trying to ask me questions, and I'm going, "No, we better go now." And I try to sign off, and the parents coming in, and it was like, "Really, I can hardly move here." And it's finally given in. So.
Right, you can tell us a little bit more about that in a minute then. So, but for all our listeners then, Chris, just give them a bit of an update on yourself, where you grew up, your schooling, sort of background, and ultimately how you got into martial arts.
Right. So I was born in Bradford, 1962. So just a youngster. My first school was a private school. Moved on to I was there when they were in middle school and secondary school. So if people know that area, I did Rosebank Private School, Priestman Middle School, Grange Upper School. I think I'd lost interest by the time I got to 15. I think I discovered other things, music and ladies and things like that, as you do.
As you do,
yeah. So I think I'd walked away. I think I'd fallen out with my dad and walked away from home about just before my 16th birthday. So I had to go back for my exams, some of them. So that was my career from school, and I'd moved on and started working and what you do. I didn't get into martial arts till I was 21. I'd done a little bit of school. I did a bit of judo as a kid. I'd done a bit of kickboxing as a kid, as you do. Join a class, break away. But I had a friend at school, got me really interested because he was doing karate. So he'd stand on the bus with his leg in the air. And I was trying to I'd do a bit with him, and that was it. And it was one of those things, yourself, where you always wanted to do it, but the opportunity never came. Yeah. So one day, newspaper, Telegraph and Argus came up, centre pages, Taekwondo demonstration at Manningham Sports Centre. I think Kenny Walton he'd been brought into, I don't know if you remember the times, the Koreans had all been taken back. So 1983, when the THB was formed, I think the Korean instructor he'd been taken back to do his national service. They didn't have an instructor in Bradford University. So they brought Kenny Walton over when they just formed the THB. So he started a university class, and I think he wanted to do a bit more over there. So he advertised and started a public class. Manningham Sports Centre was the first one. So went on for the demonstration, said, "This is it." I think a friend joined with me, and I think he got to green stripe. I just kept going. So that was 83, August 83.
Right.
Yeah, I took my first Dan in 87, and my second Dan in 89. And as you know, hit the fighting circuit. So I hit the fighting circuit quite early, around about probably red belt. Saying that, my first ever trophy was breaking at Greenbelt.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, like I say, you just don't see that now, do you?
No.
At all. So when you take us back to that first session, then, so that you walked into that, rough and ready dojang as they were in them days,
Well, this was like it was a strange open sports center. You know, these sports center where they have the dividing barriers and pull the curtains on.
Yeah.
It was like one of them. So, and I think they had the run of the hall for that particular day. So the demonstration looked great. It was really impressive, and it was like, everything about it was what you wanted to. Oh wow, they're breaking boards. Wow, they're doing this. Oh, it's amazing. I really want to be part of that. And I just signed up straight away. Never looked back. But the venue gradually became, because it was one of those venues. It was like, oh, we're training tonight. We've got five-a-side football here. We've got the badminton here, and the things are flying over every 2 minutes. And I think he couldn't get another venue. He was struggling to get another venue, so he moved the public class to the university. And I think probably maybe 3 or 4 of us went. So he lost all the students that joined. Again, they didn't want to move, so they didn't come along. So I think maybe even 2 of us, it might have just been the 2 of us, went with him to the university. That was the lad that joined with me. Now he stayed to Green Stripe and then just gave up, as they do.
As most people do, Chris, as you'll know. As you'll know, when you've been in the game that long, the amount of people that come up to you and say, "Hey, do you remember me?" And you look at them and say, "Yeah, I did Taekwondo with you when you was a yellow stripe," and you're thinking, "I can't recall, mate. I can't recall." There's been so many people just come and go, don't they?
Yeah, that'd been interesting. Imagine if you could count all the students that you left, all the people that trained with you on your route. Oh, phenomenal amount of people.
Yeah. And it's when you teach them as kids, and then they leave, and then you see them as adults.
Yeah.
You just don't recognise them, do you? And they say, "Do you remember me?" And you think, "No, I can't remember your name."
Yeah, but it's not just that. The thing now is you've got kids coming to class that are kids that used to teach as kids, which is even weirder. Yeah. So they came to you as juniors. And then they're bringing their kids back now, and they're grown up.
Oh, can you imagine old Grandmaster Oliver? So he obviously taught my dad, then he taught me, then he taught my 2 daughters. He graded all of us up to that's 8th dan now.
Right? Yeah.
Crazy. So me up to my 4th dan, and my other daughter up to her 2nd. So
wow.
there's a generation, a family of committed martial artists.
Yeah. It's a shame because I could never get I got my 2 up to. In fact, my daughter, that's what I'm talking about. She lives in York. You'll know her boyfriend. I'll tell you why. You ever been in the town centre with a performer,
yes.
jugglers, the guy on the unicycle?
No, is that a boyfriend?
That's a boyfriend, yeah.
Outside the pasty shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they have that performance area, don't they?
They do, yeah.
He does all the sword swallowing, the unicycle riding, the juggling.
Brilliant. Well, she hooked a winner there then, Chris.
He's awesome. He really is good. In fact, the only thing is he's not been able to work all year, has he?
Yeah.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
So he's been working on the COVID centres.
Yeah.
She's in the market. She works with the candle shops.
Okay, brilliant.
So if you're in the open market.
I'm always
dropping. Dev's always after a bargain, aren't you, Gav?
I'm always after some scented candles for the wife.
She told me.
The wife is for himself, really. He likes to get them all around the bath when he's having a hard day, don't you, mate?
Yeah, but like I said, I rang her after I'd spoke to you, and she's, "Oh, do I get a free lesson? Do I get?" Yes, of course you. Can I go in my leggings? Yeah, you'll be all right.
Yeah. Bring your boyfriend along, and I'll see if I could dodge the swords.
On fire, he just the fire ones as well. Yeah.
No, I go. I see him quite a lot. Especially this time of year in the holidays, he'll be out every day. Won't he, this week?
He's back out now, but like I said, he hasn't been. He's been locked up.
So, Chris, just talk us through your first grading then. Can you remember that far back?
I really don't think I can.
What's the first grading?
The only grading at that level I can remember is Green Stripe. We did it at Scunthorpe, so he took us over because Kenny taught in Scunthorpe and he taught in Thorn, his original place, and in Bradford, so 6 days a week. So we used to travel all over to train with him. And this particular grading, I think there were times where there weren't anybody because the university is shut in the summer. So when we got to summertime, there was no class. So we used to travel over there to train with him. And I think the grading for my green stripe was over there. Because I remember we still broke. I remember breaking, elbow strike and side kick breaking for green stripe. That was a big thing that I remember.
Yeah.
But no, so that's about it. I can't, you don't realize, it's a long time ago, 83. What's that?
83? God, I'm a black belt.
87. What's that?
87. Oh, I was on my way for my second down there. It all went wrong. No, it's one of those things. I mean, the only reason I can remember my first grading is because I was absolutely petrified. I remember Master Chris saying to me, right, he was asking me all these questions, and I hadn't even been to school yet because I was only 4, and I didn't go to school till I was turned 5. And he said to me, right, how do you spell Taekwondo? Remember back those days, there was a big room of people, wasn't there? Everyone sat around, no one was allowed to leave. And I just thought, right, I've got this. I just went, sir, and I just heard this roar of laughter from behind, and that was it. I just climbed up there, ain't going to say any more. Always remember that horrible grading.
No, I think there's only certain gradings I remember, that only because incidents happened. We had one, must have been about blue belt, red belt maybe. And the reason I remember it, one of the hall we were using was busy, so they put us in a classroom. So we're in a classroom in the university, big room, but it had pillars. Okay. So one of the guys, can't remember his name now, strange. You know, when you get these strange members joining, he was a strange lad. He was coming down the hall punching as you do, forward a punch, got to the pillar. So instead, know what you think. So instead of going round it or stopping or stepping back, he just punched straight up in the air. And it was the funniest thing, and that was the hardest grading to complete. After watching him do that, it was unbelievable. And how do you keep a straight face after that?
Hey, I mean, the thing is, we could get away with it now on Zoom. I've been doing Zoom classes for a year and a half. That's the sort of stuff you see in the people's living room, isn't it? When they're trying to do a grading and they've not moved the sofa out the way, and they've got they're trying to do Sam Mackey in the living room when they're doing Choi Gay, and they're just standing in that position and just keep turning around again.
Yeah, kicking the door handles and stuff, knocking things off. Okay. The thing is, we should have kept all the recordings, because there must have been some great You've Been Framed stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
And the kids were hard work though.
Yeah, we'll come on to talk about some of those experiences. But what about your first competition then?
Well, it must have been. No, the first one I ever went to was before it. I think it was a Wuko karate competition. Yeah, which scariest thing in the world ever. So, as a yellow belt, and it was local to us in Bradford, and it's the first time we came across Alfie's Animals.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember going out.
I bet that went down well then.
Yeah, it didn't go down very well. So bear in mind, a genuine yellow belt that's like sort of what 6 months into your training. Okay, went out, and the karate cup, the Wuko, it's from beginner to brown, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the brown belt, I can't remember his name now. He was one of his national team, one of Alfie's team. But he only wore a brown sash. But I reckon he had that brown sash for a good 5 years. Right. So my first round was against this brown sash of Liverpool freestyle. Didn't go down very well. But it wasn't a wacko, it was a Wuko competition, which made it even harder, because they don't accept any of our rules, do they? They don't. Yeah. I remember there was one of the guys on the square next to mine. This guy hit him that hard with the sidekick. He flew out of the ring into the first aid room. It was a separate room. Okay, got him back in the area. The referee said, "No score. That was a push." How's that become a push?
I remember that. Yeah, where sidekicks weren't generally accepted, were they?
Yeah, no, they don't. Unless it come off the rear leg, but you can never throw a rear leg sidekick and hit somebody, could you?
No.
Too long.
Unless you hit around the back of the head with a good tourney kick first.
Yeah. But that was my first competition. Then my next experience was the board breaking. So I said it's not a long time ago. I can't remember these things much, but I remember the breaking. I think they were strict in, because it was straight in. They were using the black boards. It was straight into black boards. Probably 2 black boards for a sidekick at green belt. You wouldn't dream of it these days, would you?
Oh, no.
No.
I've seen the breaking they do on the ITF's completely different competition. It's an actual competition level competition. They don't just go in and the one person that breaks it wins. So what they do is you've got 5 techniques. So they pick maybe side kick is usually the leading thing. 2 boards. Everybody that breaks goes to the next round. And when you do the next round, you get 4 breaks. You get a point every time you break. So you get like one punch, I think it's punch, back fist, reverse turning kick, back kick, side kick, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So and it makes it a genuine competition. Yeah. So, but I remember back then it was usually if you broke, you won. Most of the time, usually 2 people in the final, if that.
The only person to break the ball wins, basically.
Yeah. It always was, wasn't it? Yeah. And,
pretty much.
And the other thing, or 2 things, either the only person that broke it, or if you could break with your left leg as well. Yes. Usually went to left leg, and nobody could ever break with the left leg, could they?
I think it will start to get more exciting when, obviously, when you see more of the power tester type equipment. These electronic power test type machines, the one that Master uses. I don't know if
yeah.
You know, obviously you have that at competitions, and it's great. And there's always a massive queue for it because obviously it's there on a big electronic board. Yeah. You know, you can do your power test. You could do front kick, side kick, jumping, turning kick, 360, tornado kicks, anything that you want. If you hit it, and it measures your power and obviously your speed and accuracy and everything else. Yeah. And I think you're going to see more of that sort of tech.
Well, we did one my last top competition with the TGB was in the Midlands, and one of the deciding events was Master Wur's electronic breaking. So the idea is you got so many points. So I was well impressed because I beat Spence in the final, which was awesome. At point sparring as well. Right. Spence was an awesome point sparrer, wasn't he? So I beat him and I was so impressed. And then I had to go up against him on the electronic tester. And he's like, his leg weighs more than me. And so I hit it with everything I've got. And he just touched it. And he was like, and he trebled my score. And he was like, he got the Grandmaster's trophy or something. So that's the only disadvantage with that. I suppose if you've got small feet, they cut through these boards quicker, don't they? Whereas they don't always hit the target as hard.
Yeah.
A lot of it's down to accuracy with the electronic testers, aren't they?
Well, it is, yeah. Yeah, there's no room for error, is there? There's no room for error.
But they were on his first ones. I believe they've advanced a lot since then, haven't they?
Yeah.
You've got all sorts of senses now.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of competitions, then, Chris, obviously, you was always well known to be, the man that was always on every competition circuit, wherever you went, whether it was the Midlands or the British or the Welsh, you're always there. So obviously, you took to competitions quite quickly. I suppose what was some of your sort of most memorable competitions or memorable fights over your career, really?
I remember a blue belt. I had a blue belt one, and I can't remember his name now. And it was the north of England, so we used to. They stopped them. They used to be awesome competitions, but they were over Doncaster way. So and I fought this guy in the final. I think he could have been red belt, and I think we did about 5 extensions, right? And on the second to last extension, he popped my rib. Oh. and it was like, when you can't breathe and you're trying to keep going, and I think he just picked me at the end of it. But so I went for the X-ray afterwards and said, "Oh, there's nothing there." I think I had 3 X-rays, but I've still got a lump where he kicked me now.
Yeah.
I can't sleep on it because I got this calcified lump that was never there apparently. There was that one fighting Michael Partridge. We went to Miami. That was memorable. Yeah. I really felt I'd got that one. And again, 3 extensions. We got 2 draws, and then he picked me in the end. But I still thought I'd got it.
Were you welterweight or lightweight?
I was a welterweight then. Yeah. Well, I went up. I thought I've done. You have your moments where you put weight on it. I managed to fight Mark Ogborn in the Scottish ones. Should I really?
David versus Goliath.
Yeah. And he was beating me. He beat me, but right until I think the last 30 seconds, and I smacked him on the chin, and he didn't want to fight anymore. But he'd already got me, hadn't he?
Yeah, you have a stepladder, yeah?
I think he must have ducked. He must have leaned in a bit too close. A bit overconfident. He was beating me, so he got overconfident, so I ate him. No, two memorable ones always. Your dad.
Yeah.
Your mum's never forgiven me. I fought him in the Midlands and he beat me, but I think I knocked him out.
What, with a groin kick?
I can't remember what it was. I ate him. Anyway, it didn't go down very well. Well, your dad were all right. You were fine. But we came back the year after, and I stood talking to your mum, and she said, "Oh, I remember last year." She said, "You won't do that again." I said, "No." And then I did.
Well, they're divorced now. She probably would have paid you.
Yeah. Oh, they're not friends anyway. Yeah. But she'll probably remember that. But she'll remember having the conversation with her. We did. I remember going down to the Wackos with Kim Stones and Kenny. That was an interesting fight. So we went out against the Magendo boys. They were awesome. And I think I just got my black belt then. And we lost against them. Okay. And then we sat down taking our pads off, and the referee comes up and said, "We've just been watching some other guys doing that." Said, "We know these other guys won, but your fighting were much better. Will you come back in and fight again with the other guys?" Got us to fight with the other ones because they were impressed by the fighting. So he said, I think it was more of a team selection. It was a competition, but it was a team selection. So they wanted their guys to have some more experience, and I think we held them to account more than anything else. But
yes. In those days, people would do that in competitions, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They were run a little bit more loosely, I think the word is.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, we done the we always enjoyed doing the freestyle circuit and coming back in. It was interesting. We used to we did the FSKs. We did the MAI. I won the first ever MAI at welterweight. I think beat Graham Abdullah.
Okay.
Who then became the champion every year after that. Because I stopped doing it, but not because I stopped doing it, but I beat him in the first year.
Yeah. You keep telling yourself that, Chris, can't you?
Yeah, he only won because I wasn't there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But they wanted to stay and fight grand champion, and they forgot they'd only paid the mat hire up to about 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock, the van turns up, takes all the mats away. So 5 o'clock, we've just thought, and they've still got all these divisions going on. They had to move them all into one area. So he says, right, if you can hang on a bit, you can fight. And I think I did the final at about 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. And I said, if you hang on a bit, you can do the grand championship. I thought, no, you're all right. I can't keep my eyes open. I'm going home. I think they fought about 2 o'clock in the morning, from what I heard. We've done some long competitions, but that was the latest.
That was standard back in them days, wasn't it? Arrive at 9 o'clock and weigh in and fight the next day.
Yeah. No, I've done that. There've been some really long ones. It's when the hardest ones are when we used to do the ice rink. If you didn't get you on, you just used to freeze. I think last time I did it, I'd been sat on this wooden boards waiting to go, and I got up. As soon as I picked my leg up, something snapped and I fell over, and that was it. Back home because everything had seized up. Yeah. But you could see the ice on the car because they're using carpets then, weren't they? Yeah. You could see the ice on the carpets when any moisture, and it was like a layer of white on the. God, it's slippy, very dangerous. Yeah. But I said it pulled because it was just tight.
So what sort of training do you do when you're prepping for these competitions then, Chris? Was it always just straight martial arts, or did you ever cross train? Focus on your nutrition,
Funny you should say that. The worst one I ever did, because normally just squad train, spar train, pag work, as you do, all that sort of thing. When we did the indoor world champs in the indoor arena, I thought, I'll tell you what, because I need all that short burst training, I'm going to start doing some five-a-side once a week. And I'm not a footballer, I can't stand the game. But I thought just for that in and out, that quick burst stop. Yeah, good for the sparring. The Thursday before the competition, I picked my leg up to check the ball, and some twang. I tore a tendon down the inside of my leg week before the competition. So Sarah had to strap me up with a sticky tape, so my whole thigh was strapped from groin to knee to go on the competition, which was. I'm not sure if fighting was the most painful bit or taking the tape off afterwards.
You didn't shave your legs first?
No, she didn't. She taped it twice because she taped it up and it was still hurting. So when I got to the quarterfinals, and she taped it up again because I was really, really struggling. But I got to a stage where do you know when you reach your level, and I'd worn it. I got to the top, and we fought. It was 2 rounds. I think we fought 2 rounds. Come back on for the decider, and he stepped up a gear, and I just didn't have anything left. It wiped me out. But I think that the leg is what killed me, because your training slows down, your energy levels drop, don't they?
Yeah. And as you get older as well, these injuries come back to haunt you a little bit, don't they?
They certainly do. Yeah, all of them. Yeah. But the thing is that when you get older, you don't realise what other ones you've got as well. I've had, because I have trouble with the lower abs at the minute. It's my core's weak, so my back's playing up now because my core's weak. Yeah. And then found out that I think my lower vertebrae is calcified to the top of my pelvis. Yeah. But apparently that's from birth. But because I've been okay for all these years, I've never noticed.
Never noticed it. Yeah, it's all the knock-on effects, isn't it?
It is. And how many things have we broken? Yeah.
I mean, and the last year hasn't helped, has it?
Because no. But like I said, that's what killed me doing the fitness class doing the abs session. We're doing abs every day, but this particular day I did loads, and then something just snapped, and that was it. I couldn't stand up. I was like doubled over. I trying to turn the Zoom off, and they're all asking me questions. So we got to go now. Yeah. And I was like doubled up. I couldn't stand up straight. Oh, agony. Yeah, so I've had a dozen scans. I'm still waiting to get. I got it scanned and I did what they call it, ultrasound. Yeah. And he showed me on the screen. He showed me the tear. You could see where the muscle was, because it's not like an ordinary hernia. It don't come all the way through. Yeah. It just.
I had similar to you, but I was only 18. I thought I had a groin strain, and I saw physio for about 6 months. I remember going, and it just wasn't improving. And I eventually sent me to a specialist, and the guys looked at me and went, "No, you've got a sports hernia." Wow. I was well, that's through my mum's work. Yeah, we just got me straight in. Straight in. I did one side. Yeah. And then it wasn't the keyhole that back in them days. It was the full, the full job. Yeah, sort of 6 to 8 weeks recovery time. Right. Just literally lying on your back doing nothing. And then finally got back to training, probably about 6 months before I got back into training. Wow. And then the other side just went, because it had just been weakened, because one side had been strengthened and the other side just went again. So. Right. Yeah.
So at least I had the MRI. I had the ultrasound on it, and he says, they showed me the tear. Went to see this professor and he said, before we operate, I'm not quite sure if the ultrasound's bang on. We'll send you for an MRI. So I've now had an MRI a couple of weeks ago, and I'm waiting for him to come back with the results. So it just seems to drag on. So it's waiting for him to deal with it.
Everything has been slow through COVID, hasn't it? That's the
it has. It's been hard work. And then when you just come out of it, this last lockdown has been really hard. Yeah. I think,
so how have you been teaching during lockdown? Have you been Zoom classing?
We started on Facebook Live, which was great because we could record it, but it wasn't as interactive as we like, because it isn't, is it? And I thought that was harder because you can see them, they can see you, but you can't interact with them, can you? So to speak. No. Oh no, you can't see them, can you? They can see you. And you just know they're there. So is the thing. So I think a couple of weeks in, we put Zoom on, so we started running both. So we could play the Facebook Live back. So if you, for example, were busy, a lot of the kids were still schooling, so they couldn't quite get to class. So if they got it on Facebook Live, they could do it anytime. So we tried to do it on both. So and then the Zoom seemed to work. First lockdown, we were doing fitness classes every morning. So we'd get up in the morning, do a boxer size class in the morning. We were running 5 or 6 classes a week on an evening. So two every night. We're doing 45-minute classes twice, 2 or even 3 times a night, and then 6 days a week. I still got one of my lads. He still does Sunday. He's still doing a Sunday class. saves me getting up to Mitchtig on Saturday night. I get up and have to teach this class.
Yeah.
So,
because it's difficult, I mean, especially for you. It must be frustrating because obviously you've got your own full-time dojang.
Oh yeah.
But you couldn't go there, could you? You still had to do it. You know, there was certain lockdown, and not all of them, but certainly I think it was the second one or in the middle of the first one. I can't remember where. You weren't even allowed to travel to your premises to work, so you had to do your Zoom class from your house.
Well, the first one, two of us went into the studio, got the cameras up, and we filmed. We filmed all the tull. We filmed all the set sparring. We filmed all the drills. We filmed some kicking classes, some stretching classes. You know, we did like a whole everything.
Yeah.
We filmed I think we did about 4 varieties of classes, and then we put them all on the website. So they're still all there. We created a quarantine zone for members. And basically, you know yourself, some people kept paying you, some couldn't afford it. So they're reasonable, but some just went, you know what? So the people that carried on paying, the people that would have paid but couldn't afford it, we kept them as members and so they could go on the website and do things. They could go classes on the website anytime they wanted. They could check all the tools, we did all the gradings. So we did all the gradings up to black. In fact, no, we did all the gradings up to black, and then we did all the tull up to about 4th dan, I think.
Yeah.
And then like I said, we were doing the Zoom on the first session so what we started doing is then we'd put a class out on Facebook. So we were doing Zooms every night, and then we went, I'll tell you what we'll do. Monday night, we'll do a class. Tuesday, we'll put a session out from the archive, and we'd do that every week. And then we'd change it every week, do a different one. And then we were offering them one-to-ones. We ended up teaching more, like you said, on camera than you actually did live.
Yeah, and like you said before we went live on air, you know, it's a lot more physically challenging doing because it's just you, isn't it? There's no interaction, it's just you, and you can't just stand there and like in a normal class, it can be right, guys, you know, get yourself a pad, get yourself a partner. We're just gonna work, you know, we're just gonna work hand drills for the next 5-10 minutes, just whatever you want to do, pick a hand drill, one that you normally use, bam, off you go. And then you can nip back and have a cup of tea or sit on the side and and watch from a distance. But when you're there and the camera's on you, you've got nowhere to hide, have you? You've got to you feel like you've got to keep going and give that energy. Yeah. And
the pad work, was probably the hardest, I think. Yeah, because you know not everybody had pads. They didn't have a lot of cushions. You know, nobody to hold them for them as well. So a lot of fresh air stuff, I suppose, would be done for the.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing that went up well, I mean, certainly in the beginning it wasn't so bad because it was quite new. You know, you've gone from all of a sudden lockdown, and I was going into my garage in the summer. Yeah. And I was thinking, gosh, this is great. I ain't got to travel anywhere. I've got all my members on Zoom. This is great. But then, you know, towards the end, my motivation was just fell off a cliff. You know, and I had some of my students ringing, you know, my sort of mums. You know, Mr. Cook, you know, little Johnny, he's not very motivated at the moment. I'm thinking he's not motivated. You should try being me. Having to go into my freezing cold garage, you know, 3 times a day, 3 layers on teaching chunji to people that look like they sat on the sofa who keep turning the camera on and off. You know? It's true, though, isn't it? And it's just you know, towards the end, everyone's motivation was just so low. I think if we didn't get out of lockdown, you know, when we did, I think it would have been such a challenge, really.
Yeah, I found the first and the second lockdown worked okay. Even the second lockdown was annoying because it came in when we shouldn't have had it, should it? It should have either started earlier for a shorter time, or whatever. But it wasn't as bad. But when it came to January, whoa, that's everybody's. I think everybody had enough by January.
It's cold, nowhere to go. It's just infuriating.
Yeah, it was cold. People didn't want to get going. Stuff like that. There was that I found. You know, the kids were daydreaming when you were trying to teach them, not listening anymore. You know, I got one kid who said, be on every single session, but he'd be playing on the windows, he'd be playing with a mirror.
I had those. I had those kids as well. And I'll tell you one of the challenging things now about getting back to it is everyone's bad habits.
Yes.
You know, because they're in the dojang and they'll just disappear off and go and get a drink.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, what are we doing? You're not alone now.
Yeah. You know, hardest thing I found. 2, 1, the stances are really small.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, walking stances are like half the size now, aren't they? Because they're because they're doing it in the kitchen.
So they can get 5 steps in their living room instead of 2.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing, set sparring, and free sparring. We're just sort of getting back in the swing of now. But a lot of them have forgotten how to fight. They've lost the confidence. Yeah. But set sparring. So we came to the first grading. We've managed to do all our gradings live. We sort of shuffled them so that they were always on when we came out of lockdown. Yeah. So we've not done any Zoom gradings. We made sure we didn't. But this particular one, we've been doing set sparring every day. Every week you do your set sparring, so you should know all the drills, which is perfect until we put you in front of somebody and you take your distance, and that way it just went to pieces. Yeah. First grading came out, the guys just stood looking at each other. Like this is a week before the grading, they're just looking at each other. Right, you know the drills.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember anything. It was like as soon as I got somebody in front of me, it's all gone.
And it's the same, like you say, it's the same with free sparring. I mean, I wouldn't want to be not that I ever am the referee, but I wouldn't want to be a referee.
No.
At the first competition back, you can imagine everyone's timing is going to be out, the distance, they're not going to be controlling their kicks. It's going to be carnage.
You're like watching you in your competitions, Gavin, weren't it?
Yeah. Feel like we come back. One of my guys has just come back, actually. He's 9 years he's not trained for. And he was one of my, I think he was probably my 7th ever black belt. Right. So he just come back this week. But he left originally because he got run over by a road roller. Broke his leg. So he had to pack in. He's had a couple of inserts where he's come back in and back out. But he's been reminding me of all the stories of what we used to be like. Scrap. We used to have when I first started, we had real scrappers on we had a real fighting team. And he says to me, the students you've got now would never have stood what you used to teach them back then, and how hard you were and how bad you were.
but that's just a common theme that we find.
Exactly.
Whenever we speak to instructors, we always the stuff that we used to do, you just can't do, and you don't. It's not like a black and white binary decision. One minute you're gonna teach like this. Oh no, now you've got to teach like this. It's something that's happened gradually over time, hasn't it? Yeah. You've started losing maybe some of the brutal stuff that we used to do, and you've started changing that with stuff that's more in depth with society as we are now, I suppose.
Well, I suppose a lot of things we do now we teach the movement so it doesn't affect your knees. So all the problems we've had with knees and hips, all the way we deliver the techniques now doesn't affect your knees. So it's trying to get people to understand this. We're trying to make your life longer.
We're using science. Yeah,
it is, and people learn more, don't they?
Yes.
You're talking about breaking as a green belt. If you're an adult, that's not too bad. Yeah. I remember going from my green belt and having to break at probably about 7-8 years old.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous. We certainly wouldn't do that now. But, so you learn and you live and learn, I suppose, and you get better from it. Again, the things that you used to do back then, there's some good things to take away from it. Some of it was pointless, really.
Yes, yeah. But again, when we all started back then, it was a very adult game, wasn't it? I bet you trained with most adults as a kid, yeah?
Yeah, there was hardly any kids.
Yeah. That's it.
Any kids. I think I was probably one of about 3 at Grandmaster Warner's Club.
Yeah. Yes. Well, now I'm sure it's the same for you, Chris. But I mean, I know since I've opened up, it's kids. All I've had is kids. Kids coming back. That's all the inquiries I've had. I've not had really many. I mean, I'm quite a big family club, so I've not had many families start. It's all been about getting the kids in, and I think certainly as a full-time instructor, you've got to gear. Moving forward, I think it's about gearing up the kids, isn't it? Even more than it's ever been, because they've had all these parents have watched their children for a year and a half, getting glued to the Xbox, getting addicted to social media.
Yes.
And because that's all they've had, that's how they communicate with their friends, and not exercising, maybe not eating properly, And I think that's it, isn't it? It's just like I want my children to get fit. I want them to get confident again. So.
Yeah, I think the clubs such as that are left will get a lot of new junior students, but we get most of our adults from parents. Do you not think? Parents have been sitting watching, going,
Correct,
Oh yeah. I just keep going on about them all the time. I keep saying to them every week, "What are you doing sat there when you could be joining in with your child?"
Yeah.
And every time they go, "Oh, I've got a dodgy knee. I've got a dodgy," but I'm like, "Yeah, well, Taekwondo will fix all that stuff. So just get yourself, put your coffee down, put your iPad down, and get up and join in." And it's quite often I manage to. Sometimes it takes me about a year, but I manage to coach them in eventually. And when they're in, they tend to love it.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem at the minute is the adults. They see this MMA kickboxing thing as a quick fix, don't they? They can just go out there, punch a few bags, and then they give up, don't they? And they never come back to it. Yeah. Whereas the parents that have actually watched their kids doing this and want to see what it's all about, I don't. It's an understanding thing, isn't it? People from the outside don't understand what we are and what we do they?
No, and it's interesting because we had Mark Weir on the show. We've had Mark Weir. We've had quite a few MMA fighters that started in a traditional background. And that's one of the questions we quite often ask. You say, no, if you could do it all again, would you have gone down the traditional route first before transitioning to an MMA or UFC type scenario, or would you have gone straight into it? And more often than not, I'm right in saying that, Jackson. I think more often than not, there was, they were like, well, no, I think the traditional thing is right because it teaches you the basics and your stances and the reaction force and all those sort of things. You know, when you're doing endless hours of line work, Chris, when you're young, up and down, but you get so fit from doing that, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a fitness that you can't get anywhere else.
Nope. And that's what we've done all year, isn't it? Line work and tull.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's surprising how much you can get out of your tulls and stuff like that. Get you with, the standing on one leg, things like this, the balance.
They're there to drill you, aren't they? So it's just a repetitive drill.
Yes, yeah. Well, say like Thai boxing. Thai boxing is repetition, isn't it? They do the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. So if you're doing your basic Taekwondo, your basics over and over and over again, it's going to teach your body to react in the right way, isn't it?
Yes, that muscle memory is going to stick with you, isn't it? And the challenge is getting your students to put the effort in. It's not just go for the moves, actually do the moves as if you've been attacked by an imaginary opponent. That's the key, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, we've got black belt grading week after next, so we're in the middle of our black belt sessions, and I'm on the verge of pulling half them out because I just say it's not committed. And I've got a lad at the minute. I think he took his black belt in September. And he seemed to think he was taking his second in November this year. So how does that work? And yet I've only seen him half a dozen times since we've come out of lockdown. It's like, it's not just turn up and get your belt. There is
you've got to put the effort in, haven't you?
Yeah, they don't get the commitment that we used to. How many times did you travel down the road? To train extra. So you've only got one club. You've got 50 miles down the road. There's somewhere else to train. Yeah. No, your black belt training. So black belt training we used to do. I said you'll know. Was it Scunthorpe? Or Thorn, wasn't it? Bradford.
Yeah.
And Thorn, Bradford, and Manchester. And if you missed any, you didn't do your grading.
Yeah.
And our guys, we take them in the academy. You do your black belt training in the academy. It's on your own doorstep. And you're still going, I'm not sure if I can make that second session because we might be on holiday. Don't do your grading then.
Exactly.
They don't get that point of view, do they? Yeah, but I've waited long enough.
Yeah. The thing is,
one second, Gav. Let me just jump in, mate. I know we're getting close to the end, so we need to get a couple of questions in first.
Okay.
Before we finish. So, what's been keeping you motivated throughout lockdown, then, Chris?
I don't know. I suppose this last one, like I said, it was a hard thing, but the people with you, the people around you, the ones that are committed and keen. I mean, some of the kids are there just because just to keep them going, or the parents want to do more than just, like you said, sit on the Xbox. But some of the adults that have been helping, some of the adults that want to come and train, the ones that are dedicated and want to be there and want to learn more. So it might not be a half a dozen of them, but they've kept your drive towards it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Over the 40 years that you've been doing martial arts,
39. Not quite 40, don't make me
39, okay, sorry, 39. Over those 39 years then, what's kept you motivated?
I don't know, I've always loved it. Like I said, I'd still be competing now if my body had let me. But I loved the competition. I loved every side of it. I loved the toll legs, I loved the travel. I just love the world. I love the people, like you guys. I love you guys. It's the people you meet are just awesome, and they're like family friends. You know yourself. You can go squad training. You can fall out with everybody. Tell them to F off, and then you're best friends with them again next week, which is family, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can fall out with them and be friends again. It's a family thing. But the people you travel with, there's always something going on. You can just drop. I'll be down on the south coast. You can drop in on somebody's club and just train, or abroad.
Yeah.
It's just the people in it, and the people you come across. You meet them anywhere in the world, and you just like you know.
Common thread, haven't you? Common
yeah. But it's a massive common denominator, and it's brilliant. Yeah, and the people, and even now we're meeting a bigger world of people. There's more people getting involved. We did an IIC online last week with. They've just brought the ITF Union's just had about another 50 countries come on board. Okay, so and they've got Grandmaster Palm Ray's come away. He was Che Junwa's technical director, so he was part of it. So they had I think they've had about 5 grandmasters on this IIC last week. But it's the people from all over. I think there was like 70 countries on board. So awesome event, yeah. Very, very. But again, meeting all these people. We go to Poland every year doing an IIC. There's Master Gambini came over from Argentina to be with us. Master Arsol was there. He's an Italian instructor. You'll know him, I think, Master Arsol. Yeah, and he's also the Philippines head. His dad was the chief instructor in the Philippines, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah.
So he passed it. So when we did an IAC about 4 years ago, his dad had passed away, and they gave him an honorary Grandmaster at the IAC, which was awesome. But meeting all these people,
it's a great community, isn't it? It really is a good community.
Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to give me my honorary Grandmaster.
You'll be waiting a long time, Gav.
That's what the other thing I like about stepping out is first. That's what I like about stepping out, because you actually the one thing I'd regretted was being given my 6th Dan. We wanted to take it. I remember talking to Master Shepherd, and it was something he wanted to do. He wanted to physically go and take his grading, and we asked the question. I said, "No, you can't do it. We don't do that. It's an honorary grade." And I didn't enjoy not taking it. I felt so good at the time. Everything I was doing, I felt was awesome. And then they said, "Oh, you can't. You can only have it given." Yeah. But then when I did get it, they forgot me. Seriously, I was at the competition when they present them. Yeah. And I was the only person they didn't call up.
Oh, we forgot about you, Chris. Sorry about that.
They did. I don't know where the certificate went, but they gave me. It was there. Somebody had to go remind Master Donnelly. See, you've forgotten him. Yeah, and I was the only one in a dobok as well. I was the only one fighting.
Everyone competing. Fair play.
Everybody else had shirt and ties on.
Yeah,
that was my 6th Dan, I think.
Good effort.
But 7th Dan, we took it physically, so we did it over a long weekend. It was like a 4-day thing. Okay. And I'm going to apply for my 8th next January, which will be a physical thing again. So I'm going to try do it in Poland. So we'll do 2 days training and then do a grading at the end of it. So,
yeah. No, but the thing is, it's good to see that you're still really involved in the actual physical martial arts, because there's so many that get to of an age, if you like, and it's just like it becomes, and it's like when you're teaching as well full time. It's so easy. You give all your energy to your students, don't you? And sometimes there's not always enough left for you and the time in the day, if anything else, to actually get your dobok on and start training and going through those moves and your patterns and everything else. So.
Oh no, I agree there. And you don't. And that's what lockdown's been hard as well. If we hadn't been doing these courses and seminars, you'd be doing up to Gaybeck every day, and that'd be it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
exactly.
You'd never cover your tools. So when you come out and try to do yours, yourself, all the moves merge into one, don't they? It's like there's an outward block. I've forgotten
all mine. I've forgotten everything from about 2nd Dan upwards. It's just disappeared now.
If you ever want to come online, we'll come across and train with you.
I will. Yeah, I should do. Come across and do some patterns with you.
Yeah, anytime.
Brilliant. So looking back over your career, then, Chris, what would you say to a younger you, if you could?
Younger me. If I was a younger me, my problem was I wasn't pushed in the right direction at the right time. I was, at my black belt, I felt I was a really good fighter. I thought I really had what it take. I had the drive, but I was just never guided into. So I started squad training, but I was never like, when these days they drag them there, don't you? You go in every week. So I needed that push that I didn't quite get. So I'd rather been pushed into that bit more. We trained all the time, back home. We trained 6 days a week. We did a couple of days a week in the gym on the bags, stuff like that. But I could have done with that with the squad training, just that extra bit, isn't it? It's just that, the extra fighting, the extra, you're fighting people in the club's one thing, but you're coming away there and you're fighting people in the team, you're fighting people at your next level team. So they're always pushing you to your limits. Yeah. So I would have liked to give myself that opportunity to take that path as well. So I've enjoyed competing all these years, but I personally think I could have got a bit further.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Right, Chris, I think we're pretty much coming up to about the 45-minute mark, so we're going to call it a day there. It's been
nice to see you both.
It's been good catching up.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think the Worlds this year might open up for everybody. There's all sorts of stuff going on, competitions coming out. We're putting our first big competition on in October. So it's going to be in Kettering, Leisure Village.
Okay,
so, and it'll be open to any ITF style is the plan.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, so keep your eye out for that one.
But I know my club are chomping at the bit at the moment, desperate to do some competitions, especially the black belts. Like, just desperate to get in there and punch someone in the face. It's been ages.
But they still can't fight. They can't fight. Can they? One of my guys in the other day, and he just says, nobody can fight anymore. They come at you with their eyes closed like they're scared they're going to hit them. Lost that bit of confidence. Yeah. And the legs aren't working like they would. They're not kicking you. So you just stand and wave the legs about, and then you just smack them because they're not looking what they're doing.
It'll take a bit of time for people to get back to it, but they'll get back.
No, it'll come, definitely. But so we've got that in October, and we've got a big training session at the end of July. So all this should get us back out in the open world with any luck. Is what we need. We're supposed to be going to Mexico in November, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Not unless they get jabbed up quickly.
No, exactly. Well, it's still on. It's still happening. We're talking the other day. So the ITFU is doing their world champs in Mexico, but we're saying, we don't think the prices are going to be any good. And there is warnings on there. Don't go to that. This part of Mexico is one of the dangerous areas, danger zones. Be careful. Don't travel outside the areas where you're staying. So maybe not. But no, it's supposed to be a good event. I don't think we'll be ready to go. That's all.
Okay, lovely. Chris, thanks again. It's been
and you
having you on.
Yeah, nice to see you, Chris. Thanks for coming on.
You definitely send me your club details, and I'll pass her on, see if I can get her there.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, no,
she's interested. I just need to push her.
Yeah, no.
Some people need a little push every now and then. It helps them along the way.
Yeah. All right. Nice to see you guys.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye for now.
I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of the Motivated Martial Artist podcast. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and our Facebook group, the Motivated Martial Artist podcast.
And don't forget also the Motivated Martial Artist Instagram page.
So head along for some extra content, interviews and much more.
So until next week, it's bye from Jackson
and Gavin,
the Motivated Martial Artists.